Alright, this is JBM 2K5 along with Eric Ma. We're going to do a podcast on our top 10 Red Wings from the last 20 seasons, 1993 to 2013. Kind of based on their performance as Red Wings. So, here we go. This is how we're going to do it. I'm going to say we're going to go off one by one, starting with 10. And give a little thoughts on each one. So my number 10, I did a joint ranking here. Instead of putting a bunch of goalies in, I did Osgood and Hasek as my number 10 Red Wings of the last 20 years. Osgood won 2 cups 10 years apart in 1998, and then in 2008 he took over in the playoff run and led us to another Stanley Cup. Then obviously Hasek is one of the most unique goaltenders of all time, has his own style. There will never be another Hasek. Did what he came here to do, just won the cup and performed awesome. What do you think about those?
Well, Osgood, he was a big part of the cup in '08, for sure. He led that team. Without him, they don't win that series.
Yeah, he went through his ups and downs throughout his Red Wing career. That's for sure. He did a lot of growing up. There was a lot of growing pains through the years.
He was here for the long haul, though, man. He was a constant with the organization.
Yeah, and he's still around teaching, working with the goaltenders in the organization. All right, so tell us your number 10 player.
I'm going to start off with a bang. I got Darren McCarty.
Wow. Please tell me why. Just because...
Well, I thought the grind line was such an important part of the first 3 cups. I thought that it needed some representation. I thought McCarty was the best guy to represent him.
He wasn't even on my honorable mention list, I gotta be honest. I mean, even Bob Probert played until 95 with us.
Well, the way I looked at it is, getting through those tough Colorado teams, I think we had to get through them and reach the 3 cups, right?
Yeah, and he was like our only brawler through those years.
Yeah, I don't know if we get to any of those Stanley Cups without McCarty. At least not all 3 of them. And back when the Wings were really rolling,
okay,
they won a lot of their games before the puck even got dropped, just on intimidation.
Yeah, I understand. Because he also stood up for a lot of guys, and he pummeled Claude Lemieux, and every team needs an enforcer, so I guess it kind of makes sense if you want to throw him in there. All right, my number 9. This might shock some people. People might have him higher, but I have Zetterberg at number 9. He came in highly touted. Remember, he played with the Swedish team in 2002. And he wasn't even on the Red Wings at that time. Then he was a rookie the next year. And ever since then, he's been a great leader. But in the past few years, instead of elevating his game and being among the goal scorers, he's just more of a leader and grinder and good two-way player. So that's why I don't have him any higher. But captain of the team, great player. I have him at number 9.
Best two-way player we got next to Hasek, probably the toughest player we got. We don't win our last Stanley Cup without him, that's for sure.
All right, what's your number 9?
Chris Chelios.
I thought you were a Chelios hater.
No, I love Chelios, man. He's one of my favorite Red Wings in the last 20 years for sure.
Oh, I love him too. Maybe it's Ford who's a Chelios hater, but yeah, he came here. It seemed like he was at the end of his career, but then he came here and stayed another decade.
Yeah, when we got him, he was probably one of the top 3 or 4 defensemen in the league, and he really held up his play for about a decade. He was our number 2 defenseman for the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
Great leader, tough player, maybe the best American hockey player of all time.
That was so exciting in 98, 99 when we got him. I mean, Wendell Clark and Chelios, then we kind of bombed in the playoffs, but then he stuck around. He even opened a restaurant in the Detroit area.
Yeah, he's a Detroit pillar now.
Yeah, so he was only my honorable mention. So I'm going to go to my number 8, Marian Hossa.
Ooh, that's controversial.
Only spent 1 year here, but he made it count. Led us to a playoff run, a Stanley Cup run, except for we lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the finals. But every time he was on, you got to admit, out of all the Red Wings that have played the last 20 years, skill-wise, he's probably in the top 10, at least top 15.
Easily top 10 skill-wise. He was one of the top probably 4 or 5 forwards in the game, and we had him, but we didn't lose the Stanley Cup because of him.
Yeah. All right, who's your number 8?
My number 8 is Vladimir Konstantinov.
Wow, I thought you'd have him higher. Give some thoughts on him.
Well, he only played in the first Stanley Cup we won. But you can't hold against him what happened to him. I think if he got to finish out his career, he might have, there might have been some arguments about who was better, him or Lidstrom.
Yeah, I got.
He was such a leader in that Stanley Cup Finals. Man, those are some of my first Red Wing memories of him laying out Lindros in that Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah, the Lindros versus Konstantinov matchup, the Clash of the Titans, basically. I might as well talk about him too because I have him as number 7, my next one. So yeah, he had a plus 60 rating in 1996.
Yeah, man, he was incredible. He was a thing of beauty. We haven't had a guy that could hit guys in the open ice like him ever since.
Yeah, he might not have had the best offensive game, but no one ever scored when he was on the ice. And he was basically entering his prime when the accident happened after when we won our first cup in 97. Because he had the amazing, the only other player to get a plus-minus rating that high was Wayne Gretzky, who had a plus 70.
And that's incredible, though.
Yeah, that just tells you that it wasn't all just sympathy for Konstantinov. He isn't overrated. He was really good when he was with us.
He was drafted the same year as Lidstrom, man. He had his whole career ahead of him.
Yeah, that was back when the Red Wings used to be able to draft back in the 80s when they could still draft. All right, what was your number 7 player?
My number 7 is Dominik Hasek.
All right. Thoughts?
We had Hasek. We got him right at the end of his prime.
Yeah, we got to say that his prime he was old by the time, but he was still amazing.
Yeah, we got him right at the end of his prime, I think.
And he still played with us until he was like 43, 44.
Yeah, I mean, Brodeur and Waugh, they got all the all-time records, but I never saw someone that was better at his best than Hasek. And had he not retired early, we probably would have won at least one more cup.
Yeah, then he kind of prematurely retired to go to a bunch of wrestling events in the area.
He got arrested in the Czech Republic for almost beating the guy to death in the men's league.
Oh, yeah, everyone remembers that. But, yeah, his flexibility, there will never be another Hasek. There's just some players that have a unique style, and it was amazing to watch him play.
He was incredible, and I think he's the best goalie of the modern era. And we saw him at the end of his prime, so I wanted to have him on the list for sure.
All right, my number 6 is Brett Hull. I don't know. Did he spend 2 years with us, or just?
He spent more than 2 years with us, but he had 2 really good years with us.
Anyway, Brett Hull, the best one-timer probably ever. People say that got him over 600 goals in his career. And he was past his prime, but all he had to do was just post up because we were the best puck handling team around. We always had control of the puck and guys who were able to get it to him. So all he did was just pile in the goals and just led us all the way to the cup in 2002. That was probably the one I was most excited for. That 2001 summer when we had added Hasek, Robitaille, and Brett Hull. And then the whole year just played out like a fairy tale. It was amazing from start to finish.
Yep, he's up there with Chelios as the greatest American skater of all time.
Yeah, definitely love him. What's your number 6?
He's a good personality.
Yeah, he's hilarious. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is Brendan Shanahan.
Love him. No, he's the one who got us over the hump.
Yep, when we traded Paul Coffey and Primo for Shanahan, that was what got everything really going.
Dude, he went on a run where he was just an animal that second half of the season after we made the trade with the Plymouth Whalers, the Hartford Whalers. Yeah, go on, talk about him.
One of the, probably the best power forward I've ever seen.
God, he was unbelievable that year. I say, because we went to the Cup in '95, and then he's the one who got us over the hump to actually win Stanley Cups. Like, literally. He is the player. And if you just go back and watch the championship videos of those runs, it's just all Shanahan highlights and clutch plays throughout the playoffs. And he was a scrapper. He could brawl and score with the best of them.
Yep, he was our third best forward, second or third best forward for about.
He was probably our best player almost that 1997 Cup year.
He was another guy that we got more towards the middle of his prime, but like middle end of his prime, and he had a hell of a run with us.
All right, my number 5, Sergei Fedorov. You probably have him higher, but
Nope, he's my 5 too.
The Nike skates, the speed, power forward. You know, he didn't like lead the league in scoring a lot but he was one of the best face-off takers and power forwards and skaters in the game. And he had a really good slap shot. Guys with that much speed and finesse, you don't see have that great of a slap shot. He had a great slap shot, just a great all-around player. Loved watching him play.
Yeah, he's my number 5 too, so I'll talk about him now.
All right.
Right before we started winning cups, he was the best player in the league for a year or two there.
Yeah, he had that one huge year where he had like 110 points or something. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah, who knows what could have been if it wasn't for Kornikova.
Yeah, I think that did take away from him. He didn't be all he could be, really. You thought he could be like the leading goal scorer. He should have been, and he could have been, probably, you know?
He was kind of a locker room cancer.
A locker room cancer?
Yeah, he was always bitching and moaning about every little thing.
I'm not surprised, and then obviously he had the fallout, but we got a lot of good years. He was here from like 19 to 89 and when he was drafted until like, what, 01 or something.
Hey man, he was a thing of beauty out there.
Yeah, and one of the only few players to get sponsored by Nike at that era, like Gretzky.
Yeah, Nike tried to make him like their Michael Jordan of hockey. It almost worked out.
Yeah, he pretty much was, because there was only like 8 guys who got sponsored by Nike back then. The only guy that's like still around is like Patrick Marleau. All right, number 4, I had Shanahan, so I'll just give my quick thoughts. Yeah, I pretty much already gave my thoughts on that. Like, we wouldn't have won the Cup in 1997 without him. The gold Easton stick, gotta love it. All right, so tell us your number 4.
I love Hasek.
Oh, yeah. We haven't talked about him yet, so go ahead and talk about him.
Most skilled player we've ever had here. He was the only, when TSN did their top 10 skilled players of all time a couple years ago, he was the only active player on the list. No Crosby, no Ovechkin, no nothing. Hasek.
The creativity with this guy is unbelievable.
We're probably never going to see anyone quite like him for us again.
Yeah, the only other player I've seen play like him is Jaromir Jagr, and Datsuk's still a better stick handler than him.
Yeah, Jagr is just bigger.
And remember, Datsuk used to put a shoulder in a guy every time someone would always put a check on him, and he would just lay a shoulder into him. It would be hilarious when he first got here and no one saw it coming.
Oh, dude, and what was it? Either last season or the season before when Corey Terry tried fighting him early in the year?
Yeah, he has gotten into a few fights. Then he's always our number 1 option for shootouts. His dekes are unbelievable. You could just watch those all day.
He's been the best defensive player in the league for 6 or 7 years, too.
He scored a goal tonight against the Blues where he shot it from behind the net and it went off the goalie and in.
He's incredible. I feel bad for him being on that team of what he surrounds with now.
Yeah. So what was that? Your number 4 or 3? Oh yeah. That was pretty much. That's my number 3 is Datsuk. So yeah, I pretty much said everything I had to say about him. Best deker of all time. That pretty much sums it up. So I'll get to your number 3 now.
My number 3 is Nick Lidstrom.
I can't believe you don't have him in the top 2.
I got him right where I want him. He's number 1 defenseman on 4 Stanley Cup championship teams, arguably the best defensive defenseman of all time. Never flashy, but can't go any lower than 3.
He was just a rock for over 20 years, Mr. Reliable.
Superhuman.
And he was basically underrated until, like, his age 30 season. He never even won a Norris Trophy. He always finished runner-up until, like, the 2000 season or something. And then he nailed off, like, 7 in a row.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. He never really got attention until he was, like, 37.
The thing I fucking loved about Lidstrom is he always positioned himself. You never see him take a huge hit, except for that one in Colorado late in his career. That was the only time you ever seen him, like, actually get nailed. Like, you always see guys get nailed. But Lidstrom, I mean, he's irreplaceable. I mean, there's the power play. Power plays just don't feel the same without Lidstrom there nowadays watching Red Wings games.
Nothing really does.
I remember he had a breakaway goal at Montreal, like in 2003 or something. That's what I always remember about him, that shot. And his stance, like, once you see him, you don't even have to see the number 5. You just know it's Nick Lidstrom by the way he skates.
Yeah, I don't think the entire time he was here, I don't think he missed more than a week at a time ever being hurt.
Yeah, I know. He never really got injured. He was just a rock for all those years. All right, so what was your number 2?
My number 2 is Steve Yzerman.
Wow. You have Fedorov at number 1 then?
I already did Fedorov.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll wait for your number 1. So give some thoughts. We haven't even talked about the great one in Detroit.
Yzerman, possibly the greatest leader in the history of sports of our lifetime at least. Heart and soul the entire last 20 years for sure. Even when he was gone, his presence is still the Red Wing way.
Yeah.
Can't really say enough about that guy.
Yeah, like...
He's just the epitome of a leader.
He was the captain, like, the second year as a Detroit Red Wing. I mean, high draft pick in 84. And, God, like, so many clutch performances in the playoffs. Just watch the highlight reels of, like, the 3 overtime game against St. Louis when Wayne Gretzky was a St. Louis Blue. That was Game 7. He hit the top shelf. Oh, my God. And then he would always be injured, but he would always muscle through it just for the guys.
Yep.
And
everything that the Red Wings are.
He was just so good. Even if you took the leader thing out of it, he was just such a good and clutch player. He just scored goals and got assists. Like,
yeah, even if he was an asshole, he'd probably be top 5.
Yeah, he didn't look like the flashiest skater, but definitely the best scorers I've ever seen, and probably will be the greatest Red Wing I'll ever see. He was my number 1. So let's hear your number 1.
Scotty Bowman.
Wow. He went off the list. Mathis is breaking all the rules.
Bowman don't win one single Stanley Cup. He was the brains behind everything, man.
I could see it.
Greatest
Yeah.
coach of all time, not just in hockey, but in all sports, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, because our organization was shit, like, throughout the 70s and 80s, and then we got a respectable coach to come, and it was like a process, too, because he was there for a while, and then we slowly got better and better, and then it was just all those cup finals and then the cup runs, 3 Stanley Cups.
Even that cup that Babcock won, Bowman put that team together. Holland is just his puppet, man. He was pulling all the strings.
Oh, I know.
And as soon as he leaves, he goes to Chicago, and all of a sudden we suck, and Chicago's
I know. Yzerman leaves the organization because he wanted to be a GM, and it's not like Ken Holland was going to let him be GM. And Scotty Bowman leaves, and now we haven't had a good draft pick in years. Oh, first off, Ken Holland trades all our draft picks, our first round picks every year.
Have you ever seen that ESPN's The Season?
No.